the hush falls over the crowd. Shana Tova.
Did you hear that? I was watching something that nobody else can see. And I was thinking, should I say something about it? You see? What? So what's happening is the sunlight is coming through, and the candles, there's heat coming off the candles, and there's a shadow of the heat that's on the floor. And what I thought when I was looking at that is, like, how much is going on all around me that I just don't see? And how much is going on inside me that I just don't know? Sometimes I'm just struck with the challenge of being human. I mentioned last night that If we step into something new and we let go of the stuff from last year, we have the... Where's my Wrangler? You maybe see if they could move things. Oh, it's good that I have this focus of concentration, so nothing can throw me off track. And like one of the things that I mentioned last night was how the 10 days give us an opportunity for us to see stuff that we thought we'd like to let go of, and then it pops up, you know, maybe unkindness, maybe unconsciousness, maybe... Ugh. Thank you. I hope they don't talk real loud to them. You know, if you can't beat them, join them. We might... It was Meister Eckhart, you know, who was a great Christian mystic, who said, if the only prayer you say is thank you, you've prayed enough. And it's real easy to say thank you for the good stuff, outside of ourselves and inside of ourselves. What's far more challenging is to say thank you for the hard stuff. Thank you for the things we wish we hadn't done, or we wish we hadn't said, or we wish he hadn't had to experience, or... And so in Jewish tradition, the very first thing we are to say when we wake up in the morning is thank you. And the specific prayer, if you look at a traditional prayer book, the very first page is going to have the Modeh Ani, or Moda Ani. Men say, well, Modeh, and women say Moda Ani. Otherwise, all the words are the same. Hebrew is one of those languages that doesn't have a neuter. Everything's alive. It's not the only language like that, but English, Greek, Latin split up the world into things that are alive and things that are not alive. A terribly unhelpful thing to do. So, Modeh Ani lefanecha, I give thanks in your presence. You who knows everything, holds everything. One of the names of God in the rabbinic times is Hamakom. Makom means place. God was called the place where everything is. The place where all consciousness is, the place where all motion is, the place where all words are, the place where all thoughts are. Which really figures, because everything we know is held in consciousness. There's nothing that's not. Modeh or moda'ani lefanecha, I give thanks in your presence. It's just to say, I'm aware of thanking the whole thing. Shehechazarta bi nishmati, for literally you have restored to me my neshama. Usually translated, you have given me my higher soul, the soul, with which I connect. Something like 4 years ago, Tova Adlin came and we were talking as wanting to mentor with me, and I was talking about this Modeh Ani. And she had a different translation, which, of course, I initially told her was wrong. And then I thought about it. It's really challenging when you think you know something. And it leads me to wonder, how many other things do I think I know? And she pointed out that the neshama is not something external. The neshama is I. It's identity. It's like, oh, I am still here. Thank you for returning my I-ness. It's not something outside. It's just I. And of course, my I is the gateway from individual I to a universal I, and all the stages in between. Shehechazarta bi nishmati, who restored to me my I. And obviously it's true, because I am reciting this. Wow. It's difficult in the everydayness of life to remember how incredibly precious the moment is. We just learn to take everything for granted, and we go about our business, and we do this, we do that. And we're invited at the beginning of every day to go, wow, I'm here. And I get to say thank you for being here. Shechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla. Oh, it's such a gift. Rabba emunatecha. Great is your emunah. Emunah is amenness. It's the same word as emunah is normally translated faith, faithfulness. It's the same word as amen. When we say amen, what does it mean? It means it is so. It is so-ness. Great is your it is so-ness. So for those of you who have not encountered these words before, there are a few of the words which are a challenge. You know what I forgot to say last night? I don't think anybody missed it. I forgot to talk about ch. I don't know if you heard anybody around you going ch. Baruch, ata. Usually I kind of say something about wherever you see ch, it's ch, because there is no ch sound in Hebrew. But there is no ch sound in English, so it's hard to know how to render that. Sometimes people now write kh, but I keep reading kh as k, and that's also not Hebrew. Shehechazarta bi are the hard words. So can you say Shehechazarta bi? Good. And it goes like this. Ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemla Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemla Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemla Rabba emunatecha Moda ani lefanecha Melech chai v'kayam Moda ani lefanecha Melech chai v'kayam Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemla Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemla Shechazarta b'nishmati b'chemla Rabba emunatecha Mode ani lefanecha Melech chai v'kayam Mode ani lefanecha Melech chai v'kayam Often I become aware that the evidence of spiritual awakening is always the expanded capacity to love. The evidence of spiritual awakening is the expanded capacity to love. It's not a matter of, oh, I had these wonderful visions, oh, I transcended, oh, I mean, all that's nice. And I just thank God for those special people who remind me, you know, even in the midst of discord and pain and hurt, that love is still there. They're my teachers. And I hope sometime I am able to be that kind of teacher. You know, because this incarnation business sometimes just grabs me. And I forget real easily. I suspect I'm not the only one. And I think part of this, part of our teaching of each other, for each other, with each other, our reminding each other. You know, it's like, can we be the kind of community where we're not all unconscious at the same time? And can we be the kind of friends and lovers and companions who, particularly when times get tough, when times get hard, can somehow remember that we're living in love. Modeh ani lefanecha. I'm grateful even for the opportunity to realize I'm unconscious. I'm just not always grateful for the moments where I don't realize I'm unconscious until way after the fact after I've done whatever damage. You know my favorite Rosh Hashanah story. How many know my favorite Rosh Hashanah? Because you could tell it to the it's about the year that that wouldn't let go. I love that story. I thought you'd never ask. It's like Rosh Hashanah comes and everything's operating as expected, except it's as if this whole rhythm of time ground to a shrieking halt. It's as if the whole universe suddenly was constipated. And in heaven, they are noticing that something has gone wrong. You know, they in heaven have a broader viewpoint. And God, noticing this, sends Michael is the angel to God's right-hand side. This is a fantasy God. Please understand this is a story. And says, Michael, would you go down and see what's going on? And Michael goes down and comes back and gives the report that the old year won't let go. The new year is trying to get in. The old year is clinging to the year, and it's stopping everything. And God turns to the angel on God's left-hand side, that's Gabriel, and says, fix it. And Gabriel goes down and talks to the old year, and she says, I can't let go. I'm not going to let go. Gabriel doesn't know what to do. He comes back and he talks to God, and God says, we can't do this. So God talks to Eliyahu, Elijah. You know, if anybody can fix this, Elijah's going to fix this. And Elijah goes down and sits down with the old year and says, what's going on? And the old year, I can't let go. I can't let go. He said, you got to let go. I can't let go. Why can't you let go? And the old year says, I can't let go because I didn't do everything I intended to do. I can't let go till I complete it. I can't let go till I finish it. And Elijah says, oh, dear, poor old year. Don't you know that if you finish everything you intended to do in your year, then you haven't dreamed big enough. You haven't intended big enough. The fact that you haven't finished means that you have intended, you have dreamed properly. It's time to let go. You've done well. And Elijah puts his hand on the old year and helps the old year lift up, and Elijah motions for the new year to come in, and the new year looks at him and says, no way. This is what I have to look forward to? And Elijah says, yeah, that is how it is. So remember to dream bigger. Remember to intend bigger. Remember to bring into the new year all that which you would like to manifest, all that which you would like to celebrate, all that which you would like to share, all that which you would like to express. Just bring it in. And that part of your awareness that says, well, I can't do that, or well, that can't. Just let that go. And so I wonder for each and every one of us, what would our dreams be? If we are a new year coming in, What would we dream? If we are a new year coming in, what would we intend? What do we want to do with this year? Okay, God bless you. You were clearly waiting for that. The first thing a new year has to do is to be present.
There's only one place to be, that's in this moment. There's only one thing to do, and that's be present. There's only one thing to have, and that's unending gratitude for being in this present moment. There's only one place to be, that's in this moment. There's only one thing to do, that's be present. There's only one thing to have, and that's unending gratitude for being in this present moment. There's only one place to be, that's in this moment. There's only one thing to do, and that's be present. There's only one thing to have, and that's unending gratitude for being in this present moment. For being in this present moment. For being in this present moment.
So here's the problem with incarnation. The problem with incarnation is that it comes with forgetting. We get so convinced that this is the who that we are, the limit of the who that we are. We get so tied into our own story that we limit ourselves. You know, that we live in a kind of pretense. We convince the world and we convince ourselves. Reb Nachman of Bratslav, who was one of the great grandsons of the Baal Shem Tov, this is the Hasidic tradition awakening in Poland, the Ukraine, in the 18th century. It was a mystical, spiritual tradition that arose at a time of darkness, you know, at a time when, particularly within the Jewish community, because of various repressions, study had kind of turned in on itself. So it had entered an extremely intellectual phase and not a place of joy. And the Baal Shem Tov, the master of the good name of God, came to bring singing and a nigun, chanting and joy. It's not that it was anti-intellectual, but intellectual was not the focus. Joy was the focus. The focus was stepping into the wonder of being. And Nachman of Bratslav, continuing that tradition, Nachman of Bratslav was an exquisite storyteller, and one of the things he said about stories is that you've got to tell a story at least 1,000 times before you get it. So for those of you who have been kind of hanging around with me for these years, I have a count, you know, of But what happens to me with the story is that as I tell stories, they start expanding. You know, it's like not only do I hear them, but a story is a living being, just like us. You know, we are living, walking stories. And whenever we get caught up and we think, well, the story's complete, right? We are adults. I think that's what I thought. I didn't have these kind of words, but I think that's what I thought when I was growing up, and I watched the people around me who were grown up become adults. And adults, like, had their story down. They finished it. And I keep waiting to become an adult. You know, because somehow, I don't know what, maybe it's changed for everybody, but it's a different kind of consciousness. So one of my favorite stories is about a spiritual master who is nearing the end of his life, and he doesn't know exactly what to do with the treasures, the secrets that he has accumulated over his lifetime. And he finally makes a decision to choose 3 people in his community. And the interesting thing about the 3 people is they are generally people who others consider to kind of be fools, not the brightest lights in the chandelier. And he reveals to them his secrets. And he makes his transition. The first fool, carrying these treasured secrets, goes out into the marketplace every day and accosts everybody he can find and tells them these treasured secrets, and just talks to everybody he possibly can until, after a while, when people see him coming, they turn aside, like, save me from this guy who just keeps harping at me. The second fool, well, she sees what happened with the first fool, and she decides to open up a school. And she advertises a kind of spiritual wisdom that she can transmit for a sizable fee. I mean, after all, it's critical knowledge, secret, and it's reasonable. You know, after all, we human beings think that if something's more expensive, it must be better. And her classes fill, and after the first level, she then invites them to the second level where the deeper secrets will be shared. And by the way, she invites them to bring their friends so that they can be enrolled in the beginner's class. And then after they've completed their advanced training, she then tells them, now you're able to merit inclusion in the even more advanced class. It is more expensive than until people kind of get tired, because there's always more. They thought they were getting something, and then at each level there's something more that they need to have. They haven't gotten enough. And soon the school dwindles and fades away. The third fool has been watching this. And the third fool has watched the first fool try to tell everybody what the reality is, what the truth is, what the wisdom is, and sees what happens. And the third fool has watched the second fool develop a school and develop a whole thing. and has seen that work for a while and then kind of fade away. And the third fool decides, well, what he's going to do is just tell the story. And I consider myself the third fool. I tell the story. But there's more to it than that this year. Because what the third fool realizes is that that which is most critical, that which we need more than anything else in our lives, is not something another can give us. It's not something to be gotten by somebody approaching us and telling us, this is what you need, this is what you need, this is what you need to know, this is what you need to do. And it's not something that actually can be received by outlaying, spending great amounts of money and great amounts of time with people who promise to give it. Because we keep trying to get that which we already have. It's just part of the nature of incarnation. It's part of the nature of forgetting, because the forgetting has been a forgetting of who we are. And so we keep thinking that someone else must have what we don't have, because we know we're not complete. Every ego knows I'm not complete. An ego is a conditional identity. It's a story, it's wonderful. But it's not the whole story. We are expressions of something that's far greater and far more universal and far more inclusive and far wiser and far more loving and far more compassionate. And until we begin to remember that, we're going to keep killing each other. We're going to keep thinking that somebody's got something and we don't. What we've forgotten is that we are the one manifesting as the many. We are the one manifesting as the many. In our tradition, the Hebrew letters Yud He Vav He, which are we say Adonai when we see those four letters. Those four letters don't actually sound like Adonai, but those four letters are beyond speaking. That's the Shem HaMeforash, that's the sacred name that can't be pronounced. And it can't be pronounced because every name draws a circle around that which it names. So we now know this is what that name means. But what happens if you're naming that which there's nothing outside of that? There's nowhere to draw a circle. That's the place. That's the whole thing. So we decide somewhere in the second millennium, actually the second century before the Common Era, we can't pronounce that, so we'll replace it with another word to remind us that we're focusing on something that has no end, that has no beginning, that has no boundaries, that can't be held. It can't be held as a thought, it can't be held as an image, it can't... Like if that allness has a face, it has every face. If that allness has hands, it has every hand. And that allness manifests as Elohim, as Eloheinu. Elohim is actually a plural Hebrew word, but it's the one plural Hebrew word which is always translated singularly and draws a singular adjective and a singular adjective. because it's the one manifesting as the many. We look like many, but we're not. We're manifestations of one. And when we forget, we're doomed. And when we remember, there's possibility. For those of us who have been around in this particular incarnation for a good deal of time, there's general agreement that there has been no time that is as in need of remembering as our time. I don't think there's been any time certainly in my experience, that has been as polarized and as fragmented and as fractured, as argumentative, as walled off as our time. And it's really a spiritual dilemma, because it's a dilemma of forgetting. Adonai hu ha-Elohim. This is the whole thing. It's like, how do we remember that the Absolute One awakens as individual expressions? Like there's no other way that one could see itself. There's no other way that one could touch itself. There's no other way that one could love itself. It had to express as individuals. And then it had to forget. Sometimes I think in anthropomorphic terms, God weeps at our forgetfulness. So this is a song chant. Jenny Hutmaker wrote the music, and I invite you just to take it inside. To take it inside. And remember that Adonai hu ha-Elohim, the Absolute One, the Absolute Allness, the Absolute Everything, expresses right within you. It's all right here. To be remembered, to be claimed, to be celebrated, to be shared, to be expressed. Nobody has it for you because you already have it. It would be like looking to someone else to find your hands, or looking to someone else to find your head. You already have it. It's time to remember.
Elohim,
there is such power with the person who has this. I mean, you know, if anybody thinks about becoming a rabbi, they don't actually tell us where the power is. It's in a slide switcher. This one belongs to Unity in Linwood, which is where the real power is. You know, this is the 8th year that I've been able to utilize this sanctuary for the High Holy Days. This is the 10th year since I left the congregation and strangely persisted in still doing High Holy Days. Contrary to what would be expected from a rabbi without a congregation. And one of the wonderful things about this is that it has drawn together an intentional spiritual community, and I kind of see it as Brigadoon. Do you know the story of Brigadoon? It's like this village that, in that case, I think it only came into existence every 100 years or something. This one comes into existence once every year, you know, during the holidays. It's not really a kind of group that comes together. I mean, some of you I see, I'm grateful that I see during the year. And some, like most last night, I see once, if that, you know, and it's Brigadoon, it's a special joy. And I've said that this marks the last year that I plan on doing this way. The universe is so amazing. So last night I got up in front of this community and I looked out at the largest group of people that looked out at the largest group of people that had ever been assembled here at a High Holy Day service, and I said in my head, "And this you want to stop doing?" And it's just great. It's just great. It's just so.
There's a smile on my face for the whole human race. Almost like being in love. It's from Brigadoon.
Brigadoon soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
What is he doing? And from the way
So, like, was I boring you up here, or?
jazz it up a little bit.
One of the things I love about the structure of Jewish worship is that we have the Baruch, which essentially is saying, bless it all. Baruch et Adonai, we've got a problem with translation, because usually et is a sign of a direct object coming. But everything can't be an object. There's no object in here. So et, the other translation of et is with. Et is a particle made up of the first and last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So it's a connector, and sometimes it's a connector of a direct object, and sometimes it's a connector of with. So it can't be bless, it could be bless everything, and it's bless with, because when we say bless everything, it sounds almost as if we're outside that everything that we're blessing. And we're not. We're stepping into participation in a blessing. And we share this standing as you are able. And please, we recite it together. Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach. Bless the eternal presence, the one who is blessing. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed is the eternal presence, the one who is blessing eternally. Starts with blessing everything, and that awakens us to oneness. He turns off my microphone during the singing. Can you imagine why he might do that? I'm on to your tricks, Cameron. Blessing it all awakens us to the capacity to know one. To know one which is not one out there, but it's one. We're it. Everything is it. There's nothing outside of that one. Join me. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel. The eternal awakens within us as our God. The eternal is one. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed is the holy name, whose glorious being is eternal.
Shema.
Please be seated. The 6 words of the Shema, of course, form the central affirmation of our tradition. If the Shema were written in Sanskrit, we would know it to be a mantra. But since it's written in Hebrew, it's harder for us to recognize it. And it makes me wonder whether people who spoke Sanskrit were able to recognize the mantras in their own language, or whether they were provided with Hebrew mantras. The 6 words of the Shema are the central affirmation of our tradition. An invitation into an expanding, an evolutionary awakening to the nature of one. It's an unending invitation. It's an unending exploration, because our appreciation of that one keeps evolving. And it's not just intellectual agreement or awareness or awakening, it's a heart awakening. It's an openness to experience ourselves connected. The cost of disconnection is destruction. I remember some years ago realizing probably later than I might have, that you can't throw anything away anymore, because there is no away. And we're now living with the accumulation of what we thought was away. All of us have seen, in whatever ways we've seen it, the amount of plastic that's in the ocean. The horrible quandary now of recycling, where no country will take our recycling anymore because we're not able to follow the rules and provide them clean, uncontaminated material for recycling. All you got to do is walk through your neighborhood and look what's in the recycling bins. There's no away. So many of us have utilized these 6 words of Shema as a mantra. The function of a mantra is a focus for meditation which leads beyond itself. The focus of the mantra provides a focus for the mind, because otherwise the mind just goes all over the place. Here, mind, do this. When I started using the Shema, I used it with a melody. And my goal was to have the Shema going all the time. It was the first Jewish meditation I learned, because I'd been meditating according to Zen tradition and Hindu tradition. That was in the years I'd never even knew there was something called Jewish meditation. I was just a rabbi. Why would a rabbi know such things? And then I read the V'ahavta, which we will get to in a moment, and you shall love, where it says, and these words which I give you today shall be upon your heart. And I was thinking, heart in biblical times was where one thought. These words shall be on your mind, and you shall repeat them, vishinantam. You shall repeat them when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way, when you lie down and when you rise up. And I thought, well, if I had read that in a Hindu manual, I would know they're talking about a mantra that's meant to be repeated all the time. And I thought, oh my, this is instruction. It's right out. How could it be more clear? And I thought, isn't it just like we Jews, to put it right out in front of us where we'd be least likely to find it? Really, if it was in a manual and it said, the secrets of Jewish meditation, and then you'd read a whole thing that would talk about how important this is, like any decent manual, the first part of it, which you can read for free on Amazon, will tell us how important what I'm about to tell you is. And then the last third of the book tells you how important what I told you was. And somewhere in the middle, there's a couple pages that say this. But no, it's right there where we repeat it in every service, where we are least likely to find it. Just like we're least likely to find it within ourselves. We naturally look for it elsewhere. So we invite you into this melody. It's slightly changed over the years. This one combines, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. The Adonai Eloheinu go together, and then the Adonai and the Echad, because Adonai Eloheinu is actually a unit. The Eternal One, our God. The Eternal One manifesting within each individual being. It just feels to me like it has to be together. And then everything is one. And it starts with a little chant. And perhaps allowing your eyes to close and allowing the 6 words of the Shema to repeat gently in your mind. Your mind. Hang on to these words. It's even possible to listen to the mind repeating the words, either in song or simply spoken or chanted, however it flows. For these moments, mind, hold the Shema. Hold the Shema while I, behind the mind, listen. Listen to the repetition in the mind and open to a deeper listening. Open to a listening of remembering. Opening to hearing, receiving, a deeper, unconditional wisdom, a more profound, accepting love. The invitation of an abiding compassion. Whenever the mind wanders, simply provide the 6 words of Shema for the mind. Listen to the mind reciting. And allow yourself to open to a deeper remembering. A remembering of where you are. A remembering of what you are. A remembering of who you are. Allowing a deeper channel to open naturally, effortlessly, a channel of connection, a channel of invitation, a channel of presence. Allowing the mind to simply hold the words. And with a greater consciousness to listen. Listen, there is something enduring that you are. And with the mind simply enjoying the rhythm of the 6 words, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. From a more profound source of being. Let the greater intentions, the greater dreams, the greater possibilities, the greater potentials for your year to find you. Aware that the mind simply holds the words. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. As a deeper self expands to welcome the blessings, the love, the wisdom of which each and every one of us is an expression. Each and every one of us a channel through whom that presence, that life, that wisdom, that love, that compassion seeks to manifest in our world. Inviting that greater wisdom, that greater love, that greater compassion into every cell and every level of our being, even as we Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Until the words themselves, expressed aloud, carry with them the blessings that are flowing always, yearning to find us, yearning to be expressed through us. Together, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 And opening our eyes to love. These are the words that immediately follow the Shema in the Torah. One is always the doorway to love. Remembering that love is not something that can be commanded, but love is the natural tendency of our souls. It's like when we let go of the contractions and the constrictions, there is always love. We share it this morning with the traditional chanting. The Torah itself is meant to be chanted and not just read. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the chant, you'll hear it so that you'll memorize it for next time, right? V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha b'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu totafot bein enecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha Laman tiskeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. I love the last. Ani Adonai Elohechem is usually translated, I am the eternal one, your God, but it's the only way in Hebrew we can express I am is the eternal one, your God. The eternal one is just one. And so the only legitimate pronoun would be first person singular, because every other pronoun demands a duality. Every he demands a she, every you demands a me, every we demands a they. The only pronoun that's singular is first person, I. God must always be an I. The universe opens its I. What Moses hears from the burning bush is God's name. I am as I am. Our own I is our gateway, our doorway to just transcendent levels. And there's no end to the inclusivity of I. Join me in the translation. Then you can love the Eternal One, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your energy. These words which I give you today shall be always in your consciousness. Teach them to your children and repeat them when you sit in your house, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and let them be as frontlets between your eyes. Write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, that you might remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God. I am is the Holy One, your God. the one who brought you forth from the place of enslavement, to be for you God. I am is the eternal one, your God. Oh, this is one of my favorite pieces. One of the great masters of the Kabbalah. Kabbalah is the heart of Jewish mysticism. The major work of Kabbalah is called the Zohar, and the Zohar is a product. It was written down for the first time in the 13th century by Moses de Leon in Spain. And it is considered by scholars to be pseudepigrapha. Isn't that a great word? Do you know what pseudepigrapha is? It would be fake writing. In other words, a forgery. Because it's ascribed to a 2nd century sage named Shimon Bar Yochai. So, since it appeared in the 13th century and it's ascribed to a 2nd century teacher, scholars say, well, obviously Moses de Leon wrote it. And then there's a whole other class of people who know something called a channeled work and go, no, it's not pseudepigrapha. It's a spiritual work. It is an intuitive work. And the Zohar forms the heart of the Kabbalistic tradition. It's not that it was the only text of it, but it became the central text. And in the 15th century, in the 16th century, in Tzfat was the next flowering of Kabbalistic insight, and that was in the town of Tzfat, which is in the Galilee in northern Israel. For some of us, we were there together. Some of you were there not together. It's still a city that holds a lot of that spiritual energy. Into that circle, Isaac Luria came. People got there mostly from Spain. Like, we were expelled from Spain at the end of the 15th century, and we made our way south and then around and then up into northern Israel. So that's kind of how it went, or how we went. And Isaac Luria, among other things, created something called kavanot. Kavanah means intention. Kavanot are plural, intentions. And in front of every paragraph of the prayer service, he wrote an intention. Because he realized that when one does a repeated text every day and even several times a day, traditionally at that time there were 3 services every day, you lose consciousness. You're doing something by rote. And he wanted to wake up, to be present for each of the things. So he wrote a kavanah, an intention, in front of every paragraph. Like helping himself pay attention. This is what we are looking at. This is what I'm doing with my consciousness. And he had a general kavanah, which this is part of it. And it says, Hareini mazamen et pi lahodot ulahalel ulashabeach et bori. Here I am preparing to give thanks, to praise, and to glorify my Creator. L'shem yichud kutsha brichu ushchinte. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but this is Aramaic. There are 2 Aramaics, because Aramaic itself has no alphabet. There are 3 Middle East languages, Hebrew, Arabic, and Aramaic. Aramaic can be written either with Hebrew letters or with Arabic letters. So it's the same language, but it sounds very different. So the Aramaic, for example, that Jesus spoke was Hebrew Aramaic, obviously. The Aramaic that many actually have used to translate Jesus' writings is Syriac, is Aramaic, which makes somebody like me crazy. Anyway, to glorify my Creator, to unite the Holy One of Blessing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in Aramaic, Kudsha Brichu, and the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence, as they are united in the one beyond knowing. Al Yedei Hahu Tamir V'Nelam B'Shem Kol Yisrael V'Chol B'nei Ha'adamah, as they are united in the one beyond knowing in the name of the people Israel, and I've added, and all the peoples of the earth. Because part of our challenge is to universalize a spiritual message. It's one of the reasons why I think it's critical to not pray just for the peace of Israel, but to pray for the peace of all countries, and to include, like at the end of the Kaddish, not only praying for peace for the people of Israel, but also the people of Ishmael, and also all the dwellers on earth. There just can't be peace for any people until there's peace for all people. There can't be justice for any people until there's justice for all people. There can't be support for any people, really, without support for all people. There's a consciousness that we need to step into that is an antithesis and a cure and a healing for fragmentation. So L'Shem Yichud is a song, and that starts halfway down. L'Shem
Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, and now we sing L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, and now we sing L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, and now we sing L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, and now we sing L'Shem Yichud, to know the one in whom we live is the hidden Shekinah that dwells within, to unify here and there, to bring together worlds apart. Here I am with open heart, L'Shem Yichud. L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, and now we sing L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, and now we sing L'Shem Yichud. One more time. L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, and now we sing L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, L'Shem Yichud, and now we sing L'Shem Yichud.
L'Shem Yichud, for bringing together that which appears most separate, to bring together that which has inspired a kind of fragmentation and actually a kind of abuse over the centuries. And that's essentially the bringing together of man and woman. the bringing together of male and female. You know, Shekhinah is seen as the feminine, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is seen as a masculine presence. And we've really screwed that up. Many of us, well, certainly me, have come to realize dimensions of white privilege that I never actually thought about. You know, where we think, oh, I'm not racist, but. And there are just dimensions of things that I take for granted. I can get into a car and drive and I'm not thinking about anything other than where I'm heading or what I'm doing. And if my skin was black, that I'd have to think about something else. I'd have to worry about being picked up. And if my skin was brown, I'd have to worry about ICE stopping me, you know, about my citizenship or non-citizenship being questioned, and I would be vulnerable. I mean, I just, it's almost embarrassing to, you know, really have some of this unfold that I didn't think about, and to get get sensitized. And it's like that, you know, being a man in today's world and needing to hear from the women what we've done. But we can't do it ourselves. It's just like, don't ask me to talk about what happens to the black person or to the brown person. I got to ask the black person or the brown person. Don't ask, you can ask me what happens to the Jew, you know, but you can't ask me, go find a Muslim to ask what it's like to walk with a hijab or a burqa. Women. So L'Shem Yichud is a big deal. It's, you know, it's not only out there, it's right here. How do we listen to each other and how do we hear? How many of us in a male body gets particularly afraid walking down a street at night? You know, things we don't think quite, we're aware of different threats. L'Shem Yichud, this is critical. How do we bring ourselves together? Each and every one of us has the masculine and the feminine within ourselves, and we got to bring it together inside. And we need to bring it together outside. And we got to listen to each other. Cameron, you're going to have to do something unusual with this next piece and not turn off my microphone. How many of you grew up in Reform synagogues? Do you remember, grant us peace, thy most precious gift, O thou eternal source of peace? It was a piece in the old Union prayer book. It was just one of my favorite pieces. And it's a translation of Sim Shalom. It's a translation of one of the traditional prayers. And there's a melody that I love. Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom, Sim Shalom.
chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu v'al kol yira'ei shemecha. Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uvracha. Join me. Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uvracha. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu v'al kol yira'ei shemecha. Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uvracha. And one of the quintessential melodies that we share on the High Holy Days used to just be Avinu Malkeinu, but it became clear to just sing Our Father, Our King is inappropriate. You know, it's just this unconsciousness that certainly I grew up with. Well, isn't God a guy? It's like I grew up with rabbis were only guys. When I went to seminary, women were not allowed in seminary. The first woman rabbi was an undergraduate at the time at the University of Cincinnati. I was ordained in 1968. She was ordained in 1972. That was the first American woman rabbi. Now, the majority of the class are women. But I just remember, I mean, I'm ashamed, but I remember thinking, how could a woman be a rabbi? Rabbi is clearly a guy. Wow. And I remember the challenge for congregations at the beginning to hire a woman rabbi, and oh my, and what must it have been like to be, It's like the first gay rabbis to come out, you know. Boy, oh boy. We're still learning. So we don't sing anymore just Avinu Malkeinu. We sing Avinu Malkeinu, Imenu Malkatenu. Our Father, our King, our Mother, our Queen. If we're going to do Father God, we got to do Mother God. We got to know that it is L'Shem Yichud. We got to know that it's all one. So please rise as you're able. together. We are the ones given this way of praising the Holy One of all being, that we might understand and express the greatness of the one who shapes all creation. We celebrate our uniqueness and that of others, and seek to discover the wonder that we are. Therefore we bend the knees, we bow, and we proclaim our gratitude before the ruler of all rulers, the Holy One of all being. As it is said, then we shall truly realize the Eternal One as universal being, and on that day, the unity of being shall be celebrated by all. Aleinu l'shabeach le'adon ha'kol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpechot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh Baruch Hu, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai, Lamelech al kol haaretz, vayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, ushemo echad. And as we share a moment of memory, recalling those precious to us who have made their transitions and so continue their journey on other levels of being, we allow their images, their names to arise in our hearts and in our minds. In seeking to remember and to celebrate them, we affirm a connection still. We seek to celebrate that which has been, that we might more fully appreciate the moments we share. And I invite you to share the names of any you are remembering in this moment. And just be aware not only of the names that have been shared aloud, but the names that you carry, perhaps that haven't been spoken in this moment, but that you hold in an embrace of love, in an embrace of connection. The Kaddish, which is identified as the mourner's Kaddish with which we conclude, is actually a prayer of praise. It has no mention in it of death. And it has become a tradition over the centuries. to allow ourselves to speak praise for that which we shared, for that which we have been given, for that which we remember. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Bialma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ul'almei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalel v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yishmael, v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'imru Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heights create peace for us, for all the household of Israel, for all the household of Ishmael, and for all humankind, and let us say, Amen. Say shalom b'mromah, Uya say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru Amen. Say shalom b'mromah, Uya say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam, ve'imru Amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam. Oseh shalom b'mromav, Yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol ha'olam. And if everybody would kind of join together as one community, just appreciating who we are, individual expressions of an infinite life, individual expressions of an unlimited consciousness, individual expressions of an eternal presence. Oseh Shalom has another melody, and it goes like this.
Oseh shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'akol ha'olam v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'akol ha'olam v'yimeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav uyase shalom aleinu ve'akol ha'olam v'yimeru amen.
You're sure about that? So I just want to express a gratitude from all of us for our musicians. This is Steve well, wait a minute. This is Steve Mason at his first High Holidays. This is Shari Rosner. It's not her first High Holidays. This is Don Goldberg. It's also not his first High Holiday. And this is Stephen Merritt, and it's, thank God, Stephen Merritt. I've really been so graced over the years with musicians who have supported and allowed me to do what I do. You know, for many years, Jack and Jenny Hutmaker, who just, you know, without whom I could not have done what I did. And it just, there's a certain kind of balance, you know, on this last of the holy days that I'm doing in this kind of frame. To have Stephen was the music director at Beit Aleph for 10 years. You know, it's like a very fitting and a very special kind of marking of this moment. And it's a new year. And it's just astonishing how much stuff we are taking with us into the new year. You know, one would think we would want to leave that somewhere, you know. And the 10 days are given us to pay more attention to what we failed to leave behind. Perhaps moments when we become conscious of our unconsciousness. Perhaps moments when we have revealed for us unkindness, ways in which we cause ourselves and each other grief and pain. Not so that we can beat ourselves up, but so that we can identify what it's like to be a human being and get into a frame of not only forgiving ourselves, but appreciating on a deeper level that we are always forgiven, that we're forgiven for incarnating. You choose to live in a land of contrasts, and there's going to be contrast. And we all seek a consciousness of that enables us to bless it all, to hold it all, and not be captured by the dissonant moments, by the distant moments, by the moments of fear and fragmentation and hopelessness. and to remember that that's all, it's just all part of it. We can't have hope without hopeless. We can't have smooth without rough. We can't have connection without separation on this level. And to find ways of blessing it all, celebrating it all, and finding ways of walking greater love into our world. Ever grateful for our capacity to support each other as we journey from strength to strength, from love to love, and from life to life. Shana Tova. Happy New Year, everybody. We will be meeting at 3 o'clock at the Edmonds Marina Beach for shofar and for tashlich, the meditation by the water. Shana Tova.